Oh, good morning. Ready for the word? All right. I'm going to be speaking out of Habakkuk today. And Habakkuk, the name, the word, it means he who embraces or he who clings. Um, it's just it means it's speaking like the one that grabs hold of, clings, embraces. And really that is what we see here in Habakkuk. We see him coming before God and posing questions, like asking God why, but he's also, it's in this way. Sometimes we have this feeling of that, like, can I ask God why? Why does this happen? And yes, we can come before Him with our confusion, even our grief, our anger, or whatever we are dealing with. But what He wants for us to do is to come to Him, to come before Him, and to cling to Him. And it's interesting here in Habakkuk, he's going through this kind of dilemma, this place that he's in where he's been the part of or seen revival in the nation and been there in that place when things were going good for Israel, Judah, like that things were just blessed and the people were following God and God was moving in their midst. And now he's in this point. It's a little while later, and now all of a sudden there's all this stuff going on. And now he's seeing lethargy and sin among the people, among his nation. And it's interesting, like I actually was reading a book, and a little just paragraph, it just jumped out at me about Habakkuk, and actually talking about the third chapter and this prayer, this worship that happens there in that moment. But when I started reading this, I'm like, oh my gosh, like this, I see this now. And we've been in this series of messages, and this isn't part of it, it's a separate thing, but about God, who He is, and when Christ, we invite Him in, when we invite Him, He will come, right? And when He comes, when He's there, like, it's not just like, hey, cool, we're chill. No, things happen. There's healing, there's restoration, things broken off of people and accusation and things claimed over people or spoken over people or are rebuked, and that's what happens when Jesus is invited in. And in this, I see this moment where Habakkuk, he's in this moment, and I feel like we're in this moment. We're saying, why, God? Why is this happening? What's going on? Why is this happening to me? Or why is it happening around me? Or why is this happening in our nation? And I want to read through this. I want to hopefully speak something that helps us come to the right place before God, where we can truly be who He's called us to be and where He can move like He wants to move. But we got to be open to what He wants to say, right? So Habakkuk asked God why He's delaying judgment on the people. In Habakkuk 1:2, it says, "O Lord, how long shall I cry, and you will not hear? Even cry out violence, and you will not save? Why do you show me iniquity and cause me to see trouble? For plundering and violence are before me. There is strife and contention arises. Therefore, the law is powerless and justice never goes forth. For the wicked surround the righteous. Therefore, perverse judgment proceeds. Habakkuk comes to this moment with God where he is just, I guess praying down on his knees, just laying before God. And he's like, God, why? He's like, I'm crying out. I'm pleading. I'm asking. This is a moment where I don't know what to do, and I feel overwhelmed with all the stuff that's going on, and I can't make sense of it. Why is this stuff happening? Do you hear me? Right? It says, how long should I cry and you not hear me? Like, God, are you hearing what the prayers of your people? God, are you hearing me whenever I'm asking you to do this in my life? God, are you hearing when I'm asking you to change this around? He says there's plundering, there's violence, and he's talking about his nation. He's talking actually about God's people. Again, like I said, that he had been in this season that Israel, that the people of God were in, where there was revival and blessing and God moving and all that place. There was that time. But now there had become this lethargy, this being comfortable, this being just relaxed because things are good. And, I don't want to get too I don't know, maybe just, when I think about it, I think, we've had these times in our nation and in church where we've seen so many things happen and God move and the nation is just thriving and feels good. And yeah, there was sin, there were things going on, but it just felt like, man, like God's moving and it just feels like things are good. But what happens is in those times that I say, just people in general, Christians in general, all the above, you get relaxed and there's lethargy, and all of a sudden then we wake up one day and say, what is going on? There's all this mess. And it's like, yeah, you were sitting back in your lazy boy, just living, just doing what you do. And all of a sudden now, you're like, why is all this violence? Why is there this corruption and this mess all around me? And that's where Habakkuk is. When he says perverse judgment here at the end of verse 4, it means to bend, twist, to bend out of shape, to be distorted or be crooked. He's like, why is there crooked judgment? Why is it that the judgment, like in the courts and in the government, it's not upright anymore? It's been corrupted. There's something that is wrong, and it's not right. It's not how you wanted it to be, God. So God says, okay, yeah, I'll answer. I'm going to answer you. Habakkuk's question, why sin? Why violence? Why crooked judgment? Corruption? Why is all this happening? God responds, and he responds with something that's shocking, I believe, to Habakkuk, we could see, but also shocking, I would say, to us whenever we hear God's response. Because he says, I am going to move. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to allow the wicked to devour in order to bring correction to my people. Habakkuk 1:5 says, look among the nations and watch. It says, like, open your eyes and watch. Look at what I'm going to do. Look among the nations and watch. Be utterly astounded, for I will work a work in your days. I mean, we're all like, oh, yeah, let's go. Yeah, that's what we want. That's what we've been asking for, right? Lift your eyes, open your eyes, and watch. Be utterly astounded, for I will work a work in your days which you will not believe, though it were told to you. Oh, you won't even believe it. You'll be utterly astounded. You know that phrase is just too good to be true. That's not what God's saying here. When he says, look, watch, I'm going to do a work, you're going to be astounded and amazed. You're not even going to believe it if somebody told you. And what he's saying is actually it's going to be so bad, so hard, that you would not believe it. It's like you're going to have a hard time believing what I'm going to do. In verse 6, for indeed I am raising up the Chaldeans, a bitter and hasty nation, which marches through the breadth of the earth to possess dwelling places that are not theirs. The enemy coming, possessing places that don't belong to them. They're terrible and dreadful. Their judgment and their dignity proceed from themselves. Their horses also are swifter than leopards and more fierce than evening wolves. Their chargers charge ahead. Their cavalry comes from afar. They fly as the eagle that hastens to eat, that hastens to devour. That word eat, when used about animals, is more of a devour and attacking, a ravenous eating. They all come for violence. That word meaning cruelty and injustice. They all come for violence, cruelty, injustice. Their faces are set like the east wind. They gather captives like sand. They scoff at kings, and princes are scorned by them. They deride every stronghold, for they heap up earthen mounds and seize it. Then his mind changes and he transgresses. He commits offense, ascribing this power to his God. So God just speaks to Habakkuk and he's like, okay, I'm going to answer you, and you will not believe what I'm going to say, because it's going to be really hard to believe, because it's not what you want to hear. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to raise up, and this, you got to take this and really understand that it's not. God is allowing, like, these people were wicked and corrupt and cruel and wanted to take over everything. But the thing is they couldn't if God did not allow them to. It wouldn't happen. Right? If he didn't want it to happen, if he didn't say, I'm going to allow this to happen, it wouldn't happen. And that's why, and he's saying, I'm raising up. He's not saying like I'm behind evil. He's saying I'm actually just allowing these people to do what their flesh desires, because something needs to happen to bring correction. He says, and after all this, just like they're fast, it's almost like they're flying in to devour. Their horses are swift, faster. I mean, you just imagine this vast army, so huge. It feels like everything's being taken over. And he says, and then toward the end of what we read, and it says, and then they think, actually, they ascribe it to their God, that somehow they believe that it's them or their God that is allowing this to happen or creating this or making this happen. And what he's saying is, like, they don't realize really the only reason that this is happening is because I'm allowing it. Right? He says, then his mind changes and transgresses. He commits offense, ascribing this power to his. Chaldeans, they're going to ascribe this power, this what they've done to their God, saying, wow, look at us. Look at what our God has done. Like, what, we're amazing. But not realizing that they're nothing compared to the Lord. Habakkuk wondered where God's judgment was against sinful Judah. We wonder where God's judgment is today. But are we willing to hear his answer? Are we willing to listen? Are we willing to be open and see that, like Habakkuk, it's one who embraces, one who clings. There's him holding fast. And I just think about that and say, like, sometimes we ask God, like, God, why? And then he tells us something, we're like, is he? And then, like, walk away. It's like, man, I'm not sure that's the answer that I wanted, or that seems a little difficult, or shoot, God, like, you're asking something really tough of me. But are we going to be a Habakkuk and cling and hold fast to God? Yes, ask him why. Yes, plead with him. Yes, cry out to him. But be there and grabbing hold and saying, I will not let go. Because I know that no matter what, you are the one that saves. You are the one that rules, that you have the victory. And whatever you tell me is going to be holy. Whatever you tell me is going to be just. Is it all right if I read a lot of scripture with you today? All right. Good. Habakkuk has a second question. I mean, all of a sudden now he's like, God, why is this happening? And God's like, well, listen, you're going to be amazed, but I'm allowing this people, this corrupt, evil people to come and to take over, to do what they're going to do, because it's going to bring my will to my people. Can we accept that today? So all of a sudden, right? I mean, Habakkuk does have trouble with it. He's like, yeah, that's really hard, God. I'm really having trouble understanding because this doesn't seem like you. In verse 12, Habakkuk 1:12, it says, are you not from everlasting? O Lord, my God, my Holy One, we shall not die. O Lord, have you appointed them for judgment? O Rock, have you marked them for correction? You are of purer eyes than to behold evil, and cannot look on wickedness. Why do you look on those who deal treacherously and hold your tongue when the wicked devours? When the wicked devours a person more righteous than he, Why do you make men like fish of the sea, like creeping things, to have no ruler over them? He keeps going on about just, it's like, why, wait, why is it that we're being caught up like fish in a net? Just imagine just like this massive, it's just like easy, they just drag the net along and all the fish are caught up. We're all caught up in this thing. And he's like, God, I don't understand, because you're holy. That's not who you are. And how is it that you can look upon these evil people and not bring judgment to them? You're of purer eyes than to behold evil, and cannot look on wickedness. Why do you look on those who deal treacherously and hold your tongue when the wicked devours a person more righteous than he? And when we go to chapter 2, in verse 1, it says, I will stand my watch and set myself on the rampart and watch to see what he will say to me and what I will answer when I am corrected. I don't know if you hear this in here like I do. It's Habakkuk being true to his name. He says, I will stand my watch. So I'm asking you these questions. God, you answered me once. I'm, blown away by that answer. And I'm having trouble like wrapping my head around that you would allow something to happen so that your people would be corrected and brought back to this place that they should have been all along with you. But I am going to stand. I am going to stay here with you. I'm not running away from you, God. I'm not running away from this thing that, it's like so hard to believe. But I'm not going to run away. I am going to stand. I will be firmly planted right here with you, holding on to you. And I'll set myself on the rampart and watch to see. I'm going to keep my eyes open, my ears open. He's like, I'm not going to close myself up to any. Just thinking about what we ask God. Will you please speak to me? Well, God, will you do this in my life? And he says, you know what? You need to change this, and this. And you're like, I don't know if you could hear me, but I couldn't hear you because I closed my ears. We go away and we cover up our ears and that's not exactly what I was wanting, God. But in this verse here, you just see that Habakkuk's like, I'm not moving. God, I'm not moving from this place where you have been speaking to me. I'm not moving from this place that I know that you will come and answer again, that you will move. I'm not going to move. I'm not going to close my ears up. I'm going to watch. I'm going to see. I'm going to hear everything that you have to say. At the end, he says, and what I will answer, and what I maybe can respond. When? when I am corrected. Like too many times, we're have the mindset that somebody else needs to be corrected and don't realize that their opinions, their motives, their actions, what they do, doesn't determine who we are. They didn't create you or I. They can't break or destroy you and I. They can't do really anything to us because we're God's. We're His, right? Yeah, there's stuff going on. Yeah, there's stuff happening. But what we need to say, just here like Habakkuk, and he's like, what I will answer when I'm corrected, he's saying, I know that God's going to come back and say, here's what I want to tell you and how you are thinking wrong and what you are doing so that you can be in the right place in the right time and do the right thing. Because really what I want you to do, God is saying, is like, what I want you to do is be exactly who I've created you to be and stop worrying so much about that person next to you. We want the person next to us, or we want the nation to change, but that's going to change not because God brings judgment on them, but because God creates something in us, or you, or me, His church, that ultimately brings change to the world around it because we have been corrected and strengthened and put where we need to be. A couple of things you see here in this also. In Habakkuk, in this first verse, he's expecting God to answer. Are we expecting God to answer? He's going to. I don't know when. I don't know how. I don't know what He's going to say, what He's going to ask me to do, or what He's going to do in our nation or around us. I don't know. But what I know is that He is God and He does have a plan and He will speak and He will move. And what I need to do is stand firm in this place and not run around like a chicken with his head cut off. Anybody ever seen a chicken with their head cut off? I went on a missions trip and they asked us if we wanted bean burritos or chicken. We said chicken. And they're like, okay, the chickens are out there. We're like, bean burritos. And they're like, no, you said chicken. They flop around and flail around, and you're like, why? How? What is going on? But sometimes that's what we look like. In the waiting, in the moment, this is like just flopping and flailing and running around, like this. And He's saying, I will stand my watch. Be vigilant, waiting to hear what He has to say. Will we watch and wait for Him? Wait for Him. Or will we demand that He answer when we want Him to? Or how we want Him to? See, Habakkuk approached this with the correct attitude of, I don't control how or when God answers. My part is to wait and hear what he says. My part is to keep my eyes open and my ears open. I will see, and in this, it reminds me of Elijah praying for rain and heard an amazing message recently on this scripture. But when Elijah is talking to Ahab and he says, go, eat and drink, for there's the sound of an abundance of rain. There is the sound of an abundance of rain. He's talking to him and telling him, listen, I hear rain coming. Go, prepare yourself. Get ready. There's been drought. Everything's dried up. Nothing's been happening. It just seems like, what in the world? Where's it all? Where's the rain been? Where's the revival? Or where has God been in this? Where is it? And he says, hey, go get ready because I hear the rain coming. But then the next parts of the verse, he goes and he puts his head between his knees. He's bowing down. He's before the Lord and he's praying. And he says his servant up and he says, go look, see what you see. I don't see anything. He heard rain though. See, that's the thing though. He did not hear it in the natural. He didn't hear water falling. Maybe it's far away, but I hear that. No. He did not hear the actual rain. What he did was he heard. He was open. He heard in his spirit God saying, the rain is coming. I hear it in my spirit. It's like, shh, the rain's coming. I can't hear it with my ears, but I hear it in my spirit. It's coming. We may not see it right now. We may not see it, the rain that is coming, but it's coming. It's going to come because God will not leave his people high and dry. He said to him 7 times, nothing. I don't, could you imagine his servant coming back again? He's like, look, I don't know how far the walk was. Maybe it was only a few feet. Maybe it was further down the hill, go up, to go down, whatever. But he's coming back. He's like, I still don't see any. You're saying, look for the cloud, just find what's coming. You're going to see it. And I've gone up there so many times, and I don't. Does anybody feel like that? Just feels like it's just been so long. And when is this going to come? Or when? God, are you going to do this? What's amazing is Elijah is just there, right? He's not looking. Gosh, there's something in there. Right? He heard it in his spirit. He heard the rain in his spirit. And this is my thoughts. Somebody else can tell me if I'm wrong or not, but what I really believe is that he said, I don't want to look for or try to use my natural eyes or use my natural ears to know what's coming. I still hear it. I know it's here, and I'm going to continue to just hear this in the spirit and not start trying to trust my natural senses that something is going to come. So I'm going to ask you to go up and just tell me, it's coming. I still hear it. I know it's here. It's coming. It's coming. And you can go up and then come tell me because it's coming. I don't want to get in my flesh. I'm going to stay here with the Spirit. He said, go again, go again. And then the seventh time he comes back. He says, there's a cloud as small as a man's hand rising out of the sea. Isaiah, I love this because, first of all, he's not, right, using his natural senses. He's like, I'm here. I sense it. I hear it in the Spirit. The rain. It's coming. Prepare. He sends him out so many times. He comes back, and his servant comes back, and he's like, I see a cloud. It is so tiny. It's a cute little cloud. It's coming out of the sea. It's just rising up, this little baby cloud. And you know what? I just imagine, because, I don't know if I would do this, but it seems like if I was like, God, do this, we need a torrential downpour. And I was looking and I saw, oh, it's a little baby cloud the size of a man's hand. I'd be like, that's what we get? That's what we get, God? That's what you're going to give us? That's what you've sent for us? Is a little baby cloud? That's not what Elijah did, right? He says, and I know I didn't give him this scripture. It's what it is. I think you can just. So there's nothing. And 7 times he said, go again. Then it came to pass the 7th time that he said, there's a cloud as small as a man's hand rising out of the sea. So what did he do? He gets up. He didn't say, God, that's what you're going to say? No, he gets up. He's like, that's it. There's rain. There's a cloud. He gets up. He says, go up and say to Ahab, prepare your chariot and go down before the rain stops you. Go down before the baby cloud stops you. Get in your chair. No, you can't walk. This is going to be too much. This baby cloud is going to bring too much rain. That you can't take your time. Get in your chariot and go as fast as you can before the baby cloud stops you. That's what it was. That's why I'm saying it like that, because in my mind, that's the picture. It's like, oh, instead of being like, oh, God, that's what, I'm going to be like, oh, God. Oh, it looks like a baby cloud, but I know that with you, a baby cloud can bring floods. Whether it looks like a tiny cloud or it turns into a typhoon, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because this is you. It says, go down before the rain stops you. And now it happened in the meantime that the sky became, hold on a second. The sky became black with clouds and wind. The baby cloud became so big. And there was a heavy rain. So Ahab rode away and went to Jezreel. Then the hand of the Lord came upon Elijah, and he girded up his loins. He grabbed himself, wrapped up his stuff. He's like, I got to run. And not only run, listen, I wonder if he had used his own natural ability to try to look for the rain, and God, are you going to do this or not? I can't see anything yet. No, he's like, I'm going to stay here. I hear the rain coming. My face is on the ground. All I can see is dirt. I don't care to try to see it coming. What I want to know, God, is just, what are we going to do when it comes? It says, the hand of the Lord came upon Elijah, and he girded up his loins and ran ahead of Ahab. Ahab was in a chariot. I don't know if you guys see these things like I do. And I'm like, look, how does that happen? What did his legs look like? Was it just like blurred? Like, I don't know. But Ahab was in a chariot. He had sent him off. Ahab goes. And then all of a sudden, Elijah's like, man, I'm so in the spirit. I'm out of here too. And he ran. And he beat Ahab in the chariot to the entrance. And in this, I'm going to continue on next week. I'm going to close out here as the team can come up. In this, I want us, right? Like past couple of weeks, seeing that when we invite him in, there is his presence, there is power, there's healing, there's restoration, there's bondages broken, there's lies that have been placed on us that are overcome and healed. All those things when he comes. And we are here in this moment right now where I know that so many, like, God, what are you going to do? And why has there not been judgment or things changing? And we've been in a place, we remember how it was, the good old days. And God, when are you going to bring back this revival? We need to bring back this place where there's reverence and holiness. And when are you going to bring your church back, much less the nation, to the place that it should be? It's just what I hear God saying. It's just, can you hear it in your spirit? Stop looking with your natural eyes. Stop hearing with your natural ears. I mean, we have to, don't put on blackout glasses and put on earmuffs so you can't hear or see anything. We have to walk about our day. But what I'm saying is, when it comes to who you are and what God is going to do, don't try to use your natural eyes. When it comes to God, when is this going to change? When it comes to God, my family, when it comes to God, the nation, when it comes to... That's when it's just falling on our face and saying, God, all I can see is the dirt. But God, in my spirit, I hear the rain coming. I feel it. I sense it. That it's coming. God, you moving, God, your revival, what you want to do, and how you are going to bring correction in your church, how you're going to bring correction in the nation and in the world. God, you have a plan. You know, I don't know. Why would I even look with my own eyes? Because I have no idea. I can't see ahead of time, but you can. And God, I hear the rain coming. My eyes and ears will be attentive to you and what you are showing, what you are speaking. God, we will trust you.